Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. We're on to the moon and Wicca. Please remember, I am not a Wiccan. I don't practice Wicca. Please research because there's plenty of information out there in books and via communities of people that practice Wicca. That being said, it's also important to mention that we all choose our own paths. I have my path. It's just I've studied a lot through the years and decided to share. So it's kind of obvious that a primary pagan goddess in Wicca is the various phases of the various faces of the moon. Depends. There's over 5 primary processes and paradoxes of Wicca: mystery and chaos, flow and evolution, birth and death, emotions and souls, wisdom and magic. The moon has an influence on her, on the earth, with the tidal influence I'm talking about, and it's an astounding influence, really. The power of the full moon affects humans and animals alike. It also affects such things like the weather, it is believed. The moon being a symbol of what is possible to us, the pure white magic of the moon is a perfect analogy for white magic or the white light. Wiccan moon symbol for most Wiccans is used a lot, and they also practice drawing down the moon. And it's a wonderful way to connect to the moon itself and its healing light. Wiccans today draw down the moon to fill themselves with that light, its creative essence of the whole universe. The femininity energy of the moon continues to be at the heart of Wicca spirituality, just like the father sun. Most commonly, the moon celebrated is a full moon, but they also celebrate dark moon, new moon. They honour the moon during the full the most. It's the Esper Sabbath, but Wiccans do tend to use every phase of the moon for particular rituals, particular spells. I think it's done in all different crafts as well. I think it's done a lot through just general life in certain spiritual aspects, but we just don't notice it as much. It's used quite a lot, more than we realise. Because the full moon has a different energy, it's a different power, The dark moon, again, a different energy, a different power. Various spells tend to align with the different energies, of course, and that's how it's worked. A great spell for starting a new relationship or a new job should be done at the time of a waning moon. However, the waxing moon, it should not be. That's better for unhappy sort of situations that have arose. You can help fix them, etc. Because generally we like to put end to things, and restart something. The moon represents life's greatest mysteries, and it generates an ever-flowing energy. Isn't that amazing? And this energy field is what Wiccans attune to and cooperate with. However, anyone can, as long as you are willing to feel the energy and put yourself in that energy, and I mean really feel it, then trust me, anybody can. During a ritual in a coven, the high priestess enters a trance-like state and requests that the goddess, or the triple goddess, symbolised by the moon, enter her body and speak through her. The high priest can also help the high priestess if there is one. However, it's not needed, obviously. You can just do this yourself if you so choose to, But in a coven, it's the high priestess that will invoke, and bear in mind, invoke, allow an energy to enter one's body to project messages. That's what I mean. Drawing down the energy of the moon is quite beautiful and powerful. It's a powerful rite. This is invoking the goddess directly into oneself. It does vary. There's different variations of it, but like I say, more than likely it is an high priestess that does this, that goes into a trance-like state and will speak the words of the goddess. Or it could be even a formal monologue calling upon the goddess in her many forms. It's very different in different communities. It depends, things are different everywhere. So, regardless of how it's practiced, the drawing down the moon is always performed on a full moon, or at least one of the nights immediately after. It's usually performed outside because obviously it's better to perform it outside, but some do still perform inside. It's usually done originally skyclad, which means naked. However, that's a practice that you wouldn't necessarily see or know that they were skyclad because it's not made public as such. So whether that's still done, I honestly could not say. I work skyclad, but that doesn't mean every other witch, Wiccan, spiritual person does. It does not mean that. Everybody's very different. Some people have particular robes that they wear, outfits. It all varies within their coven or within the way that they practice their path. Everything's so very different. So the moon cycle: full moon, waning moon, dark moon, new moon, waxing moon, full moon. That's the moon cycle. It's like watching a living Mandela. That's kind of what it's like anyway. The waxing moon begins at the right side of the moon. It grows from right to left in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite, from left to right. So if you flatten your right hand, okay, and you make sort of a curve so that you've got a C, a backward C, semicircle sort of shape, right there, that's your waxing moon in your right hand. By creating that semicircle or a backward C with your thumb and your fingers. Remember it that way. Just do that, and there you go. That is your waxing moon. The right hand is obviously the one that's the dominant in many people. Some are left-handed. However, generally the right hand is the active hand, the doing, the giving. It's the energy of the waxing moon. And it obviously looks like a backward C if you make it in your hand, and that's the best way to remember that you're in a waxing moon. It's a very easy way to remember. Right hand, create that semicircle, that's your waxing. You got one side waxing, other side is waning, obviously. And the waning and waxing are very different energies, by the way. So if you create, obviously the left hand side, you create that backward C shape with your fingers and your thumb. I'll remind you, it's the waning moon. And this hand is generally for releasing, undoing, receiving. It's both hands have different energy. It's that polarity of masculine, feminine, positive and negative. It's all about that. The waning moon is the moon getting smaller, meaning the light is getting weaker. So if you look at weakening as a word, it has waning in it. So waning is the weakening moon. That's the best way to remember it. The moon's phase, it's very important to take it into account when doing spells because the different energy will bring different aspects to each spell. Let's look at the various moons and what they can actually bring. So the new moon is new beginnings, fresh starts, optimism, hope and faith. A new beginning of any aspect of your life as well, just so you know. The waxing moon, building accomplishments and creativity. The full moon, abundance, manifesting desires, wish fulfillment, sexuality, achieving dreams, protection, harvest, abundant harvest, anything to do with crops, etc. The waning moon is all about letting go, clearing away, cleansing and releasing, shedding old patterns, undoings. This is where you can undo bindings and undo spells. You can also open up problems to make them right or make them go away. And it's about making space for a fresh. The dark moon is a time of rest and peace, deep wisdom. It's a great time to do divination work on the dark moon, contacting your guru from within. That's the idea. Letting things die away as well completely so that you can start from the beginning. I'm sorry, my phone, I meant to put it on silent and I forgot. Anyway, guys, those are the basic different moon phases, which are just enough so that it's very basic and you can understand it. And if you want to learn more from there, trust me, there is plenty of information out there in which to do so. Love and light and many blessings.